In Pakistan, they would ask for proof whether
Yeah,
Dawood is there,
yeah,
or whether any of the terror camps were there. So radar imagery chahiye, this,
uh,
that, all these things, or
yeah,
where are the pictures of Hafiz Saeed, and those
yeah.
kind of things. But here,
Hmm.
the Khalistanis are there parading it all.
Correct.
And Goldie Brar, who is involved in the Sidhu Moosewala thing, he's sitting there in Canada. So India doesn't even need to give proof. It's there.
So that's exactly the point. You see, in fact, I think some Canadian officials actually went to the NIA to say, we would give us more information, etc. And but they don't realize our history, and I don't think they know the depth of that history. So Indian officials obviously blew them away and said, "What do you mean?" It said exactly what you said, which is Goldie. Look at Goldie Brar. It said there, the referendum. The real trigger for the Indian thing was probably the referendum,
Referendum.
the Khalistan referendum that happened. And even though I think it was the 16th or the 17th of September that the Canadian government actually told the Indian government that, we are not, we don't support this, as they had done even in 2020. But the point is that it is actually happening under your noses. And there was no attempt to shut it down. There are many ways people shut down things that are of interest to friendly countries. The biggest one that I would say is the the head of Huawei, who was imprisoned in Canada with no case in Canada, but just because the Americans wanted her. So she was in prison, in a Canadian prison for 2.5 years. And so that's not a reason, right? You can. So, I'm but there is definitely, I mean, they hide under this thing about, we are a democracy, we allow all kinds of things to happen, but clearly there are red flags that are being raised, and these red flags come from a couple of places. One is from a country like India. It's not that India and Canada are unfriendly to each other. Uh, we have fairly deep relationships. So you would think that in the interest of maintaining that, they've sort of bent over backwards when Canada was wooing the Chinese to sort of be sensitive, in quotes, to all of China's sensitivities. Only when things sort of fell apart because of America that they had to imprison this Wang from Huawei, which then resulted in two Canadian citizens being imprisoned for exactly the same length of time in China. I mean, China really took the tough line, which is you have my person in custody. I'm putting two of your citizens in custody. You take one of mine, I take two of yours.
Maybe that's the reason why they're not doing it.
No, I see. We are not China.
Yeah.
We would never be able to do that, and we shouldn't.
Correct.
There are certain. We have certain behavior modes as well.
Which is why the huge investment by Canada into India,
Correct.
because it's a functioning democracy.
Correct.
And, they know that their investments are safe, their people are safe when they are in India. Another thing which the statement which says that a farcical exercise was held by extremists and radical elements supporting the so-called Khalistan referendum in Canada and elsewhere. This is what the External Affairs Ministry spokesperson said. I mean, clearly, India is not going to ignore, as I said, the earlier way that, oh, okay, so the Khalistanis are doing this in Canada, so it's not impacting us. But it is impacting India now, because there's a whole, there are events which are happening in India which are clearly driven by Khalistanis, whether it is coming via Pakistan or whether it is like a deliberate attempt in India. You're seeing Khalistani graffiti in India. I mean, since the 80s, you and I have, remember the 80s.
Yes.
We have gone through that when we were younger. We've
Yes.
seen that.
Yes.
Don't want that again happening.
Yes, but and therefore the role of Pakistan becomes is actually not highlighted enough. I think if I think there was a Pakistan embassy official who actually visited the two gurdwaras that in Vancouver, I think, just around the time of the referendum.
Okay.
And if you remember the sensitivities when we opened the Kartarpur corridor about Khalistani elements using the Kartarpur corridor, then it was a serious security sort of red flag that had been put up. Pakistan it has been using, in fact, definitely for the last few years, Pakistan has been on a mission to revive the Khalistan movement, not merely in Pakistan but in UK and in Canada, where a large number of Khalistan diaspora, Punjabi Sikh diaspora live. In Canada, it's it it makes it difficult also for two other sort of groups of people. One is the groups of Sikhs who are not allied to the Khalistan movement, but because they get tarred, they keep quiet because they also are probably under threat as well, so they can't say anything. The other is it creates tensions between the Hindus and the Sikhs living in Canada, and that cannot be good for Canada. So this is something that we and there is as you said, there is a long string of events that we've been seeing in the most recent months and the last couple of years. There was this attack on a Gurdwara in Punjab, which was traced back. I think the Sikhs for Justice group, which is banned in India but operates openly in Canada, they actually took responsibility for it. A different network and a different ecosystem was witnessed when we saw the Sidhu Moosewala murder. So there are these layers, and if you were Canada, you would want to think twice about them. The question is, why does Canada not red flag these problems that might affect its relationship with India?
So, what are Justin Trudeau's political compulsions? Like, does he have, like we have here, a vote bank politics? Is that his political compulsion that he cannot take because he's got people in his cabinet who will not allow any kind of, some kind of an action to be taken against the Khalistanis?
Certainly, that is part of it. I mean, there is he has his own vote bank politics. I mean, to believe that vote bank politics are in countries like poor countries with large population and diverse societies like ours, that's not true. Everybody has vote bank politics. I mean, the Democrats have it, the Tories have it, the Labour Party, the Liberals in Canada have it. So, and the Sikhs are definitely a part of that. Some of those gurdwaras, now these are all wealthy people.
Yeah.
Remember, these are not down in the mouth kind of
Yeah, but
people.
there are wealthy people in America, also wealthy Sikhs in America, and the Gurdwaras have Bhagat Singh, and at the same time they have Bhindranwale in the same Gurdwara. Both the pictures are there, and there is even in some of the parades that are held, there are Khalistanis in that also. But somehow they don't have that kind of political backing like they have in Canada.
Well, that is true because America is, like India, completely focused also on its own security concerns. And, it's not just 9/11 but post 9/11, in these 21, 22 years, that the fault lines in the security in American society that could, uh, create security tensions for America. I think the American system is sort of fully infiltrated through all of these.
The security.
The
But then
security
Canada,
system.
Canada,
Because see, Canada,
sorry.
you have to understand. I think Canada is it's an enormous country, no people, immensely wealthy, um, all educated. There is a there is an
It's not.
exceptionalism there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we all talk about American exceptionalism or Indian exceptionalism, but there is also this Canadian exceptionalism thing, but we are this wonderful democracy and the thing is about this
Well,
wonderful,
Indrani, way before 9/11, Kanishka bombing happened.
yes,
They
indeed.
would,
And
you would think that it would hit them
no,
more? No?
no, because, I mean, that, I think Kanishka bombing remains a blot in Canada. And I have spoken to many officials, Canadian officials, who say that, we cannot forget the Kanishka bombing. True. I mean, but cut to the 2000s, large swaths of Canadian real estate was being given off to the Chinese, who came in and bought because they didn't want to spend the money in their own country, and they bought large swaths of land, etc. In Canada, moved to Canada until they became a security threat.
So do you think that like you've given me the nexus, or you've spoken about the nexus between Pakistan and the Khalistanis?
It's a
And
real nexus.
nexus. Do you think that, like what you're saying is that if the Chinese are buying property, they would be influencing politics too? And there's a grand plan between the China Pakistan nexus against India. So to use the fissures that exist in India already to make that larger, and do you think that, or am I being too much of an alarmist in here?
Look, we have no evidence right now, but it is not inconceivable. I mean, uh, if the points all match, there's nothing to say that. I mean, China and Pakistan are collaborating in Bangladesh,
Yeah.
so there is nothing to say that they would not be collaborating in Canada.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, I would say that certainly that would be one of the things that the Indian system would be very, very sensitive and concerned about, because we do have social fissures. We have there are security threats of variety of of varying degrees and varying kinds, that any government in India would have to be extremely, extremely alert to.